In this video, I'll be showing how rap as an art form is actually a spiritual expression, or what some may say is the language of God. I think many hip hop fans saw the spiritual symbolism of the historic rap battle between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. I wanted to contribute to this discussion as a hip hop fan, as well as from my perspective as a poet, writer, and educator. While I was in a PhD program for education last year, in the spring of 2023, I wrote a paper titled Verse as the Teacher, Leading Towards Higher Consciousness, that delves into the relationship between hip hop and spiritual teachings and practice. Today's video is a summary of this paper I wrote. Now, let's get into the 4 ways that rap intersects with spirituality. In modern times, poets and rappers are following the tradition set forth by all the greatest religious teachers in history. This is because they're all focused on spitting verses, which range from the ancient practice of poetic storytelling that continues within indigenous oral traditions to the poetic verses present in all major world religions, including Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Epic narrative poetry as verse has impacted our spiritual identity and thinking globally and throughout history. Point number 1, birth from adversity, the battleground. Battle is a central theme in practice, not only within poetic religious teachings, but also in the realm of rap. The prominence of this theme within both is an expression of their mutual aim at eradicating human suffering. Verse, as typically taught in a spiritual context, is a form of knowledge demonstrating how to triumph over adversity. It makes sense then that the genre of rap, emerging after the many centuries long collective African American struggle to gain freedom and equality, would contain the necessary energy and impetus to be battle oriented. Battling in rap and spoken word poetry operates in both explicit and subversive ways, asserting power in an oppressive culture and history. Oppression can be battled in both internal and external ways. This was the experience of the historic religious teachers, none of whom were trying to create a religion, but rather were all seeking to emancipate themselves and others from suffering. In order for them to do so, they used poetic language to express themselves and their message. It was through this battle over the lesser self, through accessing the greater self, that enabled religious teachers to achieve a broader sense of life being one with the universe. In this reach to become one with the universe, we reveal that we are actually the universe itself, and that one verse binds this all together. Consistent with this, the primary Christian religious text, the Bible, expounds a creation narrative in which a God figure creates a universe through the power of word, similar to an MC creating a verse. And this universe simultaneously contains an external world with other beings, as well as the awareness that the beings within the world are also a reflection of the God figure themselves, based on a later mention in the same text that humans are made in the image of God, the Creator. While battling in lyricism and religion are enacted and taught as largely an internal struggle in which the enactor polishes and masters their own mind, they also achieve external victories. Using personal narrative or metaphorical lyricism to speak up against external injustice and oppression is another way that spiritual teachers and rappers engage in battle. This specifically speaks to the battle of good and evil and an interest in demonstrating through personal example what triumph looks like. Both Siddhartha Gautama, aka Shakyamuni, aka Buddha, and Jesus were direct and unrelenting in their efforts to call out injustice and oppression within the societies they lived in at the time. And if we're true to the original founding spirit of hip hop, which was born of and rooted in urban Black American struggle, then speaking about societal oppression within one's verses, at the very least on occasion, makes one more aligned with the God level MC status. This contradicts how some people only associate rap as a superficial style instead of an art form originally designed for a higher purpose. Point number 2, flow, demonstrating the rhythm of life. The second quality that makes hip hop lyricism spiritual is the flow and the rhythm. The act of chanting or recitation of verse is a part of most religious ceremonies and spiritual rituals. Poetic verse and rap freestyling capture natural rhythms and flow to express the divine side of self. Freestyling is when an artist improvises an unwritten verse from the head. It can be used to sharpen the rapper's mind through the stream of consciousness exercise. Freestyling is an act that requires faith because you have to trust the thoughts that occur in your mind at that moment. You have to trust that you'll be able to discover the connections that exist between everything that may not be initially obvious on the surface. As a practitioner of rap freestyling shares in the documentary Freestyle, The Art of Rhyme,
the energy, yo. Energy is wonderful. Energy is everything. You just channeling that. We just express thought. That's all it is. And yo, you come across mad people that do it and you just build on it.
Another freestyle advocate in the documentary says that freestyling consists of
Friends from one person to the next. Ideas, thoughts, views, philosophies, and then from all of these type of stories, we begin to create music. So whether you're in it for the biz, or you're in it to vent your rage, whether you're in it to experience bliss, remember to listen to the silence and tap your own rhythm, intrinsic, and explore your horizons.
And another freestyle rapper shares
About being universal and being able to flip shit at any time with a rhyme and then incline and represent the divine side of yourself. You know, even when it ain't nobody else around, you know, the sound is always there, you know, and all them sucky MCs ain't got a prayer because they ain't aware of the God within they own inner being, you know what I'm saying? It's about energy, and it's about the energy, you know what I'm saying? The energy, G-O-D.
freestyling is a replication of the flow of life itself, originating from inside the womb when we first heard the first rhythm as our mother's heartbeat. Since the universe of our mother is the entirety of our world before we are born, we continue this pattern of seeking a higher or deeper truth through the alignment with a beat, as well as rhythm and language. Point number 3, metaphor and simile, bridges of understanding. The use of metaphors and similes in order to build bridges of understanding is another characteristic that rap has in common with religious teachings. Wordplay is a vital element used by poetic teachers in leading people towards a better understanding. Among the numerous literary devices employed, metaphor and simile are the most prominent features associated with poetic language. Metaphor and simile are both designed to form connections or bridges between seemingly disparate ideas and objects, serving as a useful tool for those who aim to inspire an increased awareness of interconnectedness. This is consistent with the aim of religious teachers who lead others to a simultaneously higher and deeper understanding of life, which requires forming bridges of thought. Metaphor and simile are specific methods of comparison, leading those with one understanding or perception into another. An example of extended metaphor is Kendrick Lamar's verse in Pusha T's song Nostalgia. In it, Kendrick leads the listener from one understanding to another through constructing an entire verse using the literal object of cocaine, often referred to with the slang name dope, as a metaphor for his own lyrics and artistry. He doubles the meaning of dope as a metaphor and homonym as a description of excellence, likening his profession with that of a dope dealer. We could also assign another layer of meaning to the use of the word dope here as a shortened version of dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a role in pleasure, motivation, and learning. Perhaps this potential additional layer of meaning indicates that Kendrick's lyrical prowess brings a sense of momentary happiness to those who engage with it, like the effects of dopamine. And this aligns with the pursuit of happiness or joy or fulfillment, which is often an objective within spirituality and religion. Siddhartha Gautama, aka Shakyamuni, aka Buddha, also employed the extensive use of similes and metaphors. The Lotus Sutra is regarded by some as his highest or most comprehensive teaching based on the content and the messaging within it. Unique to the Lotus Sutra in comparison to Shakyamuni's previous teachings is the prominent use of verse, which all focus on using parables or extended metaphors to lead his students and audience into a greater understanding of themselves and the world. The use of extended metaphor is often employed by hip hop in the battle rapping arena as well. There is a dedication to developing extended metaphors in order to engage the listener, while simultaneously challenging them to develop higher order thinking through extensive literary analysis. Intricate battle rap schemes require the audience or student's detection of subtext, resulting in their subsequent joy at having discovered it. This use of extended metaphor can be regarded as wordplay or swordplay, with the idea that our pen is our sword, our weapon. What exactly are we refuting or striking down with our swords or words? Ultimately, it is ignorance. Point number 4, deeper meaning, reading subtext into consciousness. The fourth aspect of hip hop lyricism that mirrors spiritual teachings is in its use of deeper meaning or subtext. The artist works in the subconscious of society, asserts artist Hank Willis Thomas. This is true of artists who focus on both instilling and distilling subtext. Here, artist isn't relegated solely to those who practice art as a creative outlet or profession, but rather, artist, in my estimation, means those who continually create value. And since the ultimate value is life itself, as educator Jose Toda expounded, here an artist who lives in the subconscious of society could mean those who can recognize and replicate the inherent pulse of life that exists in everything, but may not be readily apparent or noticeable. What's most important to the greatest religious teachers is to train the general populace to be able to identify and practice a means of emancipating themselves from the shackles of ignorance, which prevent them from seeing the connections underneath the surface. This kind of ability is only developed through practice. Within the realm of a religion, this means to continually study and apply the teachings. Within the realm of rap, it means to engage in a kind of openness that allows oneself to consider and discover what may be happening underneath the first layer of phrasing. We saw a widespread and collective engagement of this endeavor in the most recent rap battle in 2024 between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, namely in rap fans as well as public figures enthusiastically researching each artist's lyrics to learn what potential layers of meaning exist beyond the first layer. This action indicates that education towards higher consciousness is taking place. A mind that can only focus on and accept the literal meaning of words and ideas is also limited in perceiving the interconnectedness of life. Those who cannot detect or analyze subtext are also easier to take advantage of by those who benefit from encouraging ignorance in the masses. Higher order thinking requires the formation of connections beyond what is immediately obvious. Deeper insight into what's written or spoken is facilitated through a poetic teacher's use of metaphor and simile. This process of paying closer attention with the aim of forming a more comprehensive analysis then garners a student who develops higher order thought as a typical process, identifying underlying connections not only within lyrics or words, but also within daily life. For example, my own experience in listening to rapper Shia Blinya's music, which heavily uses extended metaphors and multiple layered meanings or entendres, helped me improve upon my ability to illuminate connections through symbols or metaphors that exist within society and my environment. In conclusion, the return. While I've pursued and gained helpful knowledge from, quote, higher education in the form of college and university classes, I've learned the most in how to elevate my consciousness and awareness of the subtext inherent in life from people who don't have formal college educations or degrees. My spiritual teachers have primarily been rappers and poets, all verse spitters who uncover the multiple layers and interpretations of life. What I've learned from them has helped me to recognize that, ironically, rap, a genre and art form that is often associated with overt expressions of misogyny, is actually replicating through its inherent structure the return, as in return to the womb, the mother. I say this based on all the spiritual characteristics that rap possesses. Let's review those characteristics that I named from now a different perspective. First, the use of battle, which shows that life is a struggle to exist, to break through, to come out of the darkness and into the light. Second, following the flow or rhythm or pulse of life, which for all of us, unless we were conceived in a laboratory, was the heartbeat of our mother. Third, the characteristic of emphasizing bridges of understanding, meaning going from one space into another, essentially traveling through portals like the first one we came through, the birth canal, in order to deliver life or a message. And the fourth point, playing into the underlying connection or subtext of life, which may not be easily detected. This type of connection is also expressed through the nonverbal communication that takes place between mothers and their children, particularly in the womb. We can see that in an ultimate plot twist, the genre known for disrespecting women is actually expressing this pattern of existence and birth and relationship with the mother, whether the genre realized it was doing it or not. It is my observation that in both religion and rap, which are both dominated by male voices and perspectives, it's all actually an effort to return to the source, to become a more complete version of ourselves. And isn't that the ultimate bar? If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And for more of my work, check out my book, Record Testimony of the Divine Feminine, link in the description below. And please leave a comment to let me know if anything from this video resonated with you.